Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Of course, many of you by now have heard a chance to hear my singing voice, something I love to do and bring joy to people. And I'd like to ask you all, what do you think of my singing?
It's great. In fact, I think you should sing tenor.
Really?
10 or 11 miles away from us.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 expansions of 2022. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we're taking a look at my top 10 expansions of 2022. Now, before I begin this list, I don't know whether or not I will have aired my top 10 games of 2022 yet, because there are still some games, some of them on my shelf, some of them I'm waiting to arrive, from 2022 that I really feel I need to play before I can make that list. So I may have already put that up, I may not have put it up yet, but in any event, let's go ahead and take a look at what I've got here. Again, this is my top 10 expansions for 2022. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get started with my honorable mentions. So first of all, let me tell you, I played a lot of Marvel Legendary this year. And so I want to say, just first of all, they put out some exceptional expansions this year. I think every one I really enjoyed. Black Widow, Black Panther, Doctor Strange were all very good Legendary Marvel expansions. And then, of course, there was also Legendary 007, The Spy Who Loved Me came out. That also was a great expansion that I really liked. But let's go ahead then and take a look at my my top 10. And my number 10 is actually, believe it or not, a Marvel Legendary expansion. This was the Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel Studios Guardians of the Galaxy. This one was really fun. I liked it because it had a lot of the cool stuff I like from other expansions in it, but had its own thing. And one of the big things it brought here is it had the artifacts, the persistence artifacts that would go out, but then it had the thing where you could like remove them and gain some bonuses. And then, of course, it's got the instead of the artwork, it's got the stills from the films. I know some people have an issue with that, but I thought it was pretty cool. All told, it was a great Marvel Legendary expansion. Fun villains, fun masterminds. You like playing with the heroes, with Drax and Groot and the Raccoon, and all of them are just Star-Lord. They're all just very fun characters to play with in this series, and really enjoyed it. So that is my number 10, Legendary Marvel Studios Guardians of the Galaxy. That is from Upper Deck. My number 9 is an expansion to a game I had initially played probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And I put up my review not too long ago, and they kind of rebranded the game and put out this expansion fairly recently. But this is V-Sabotage Ghost. Now, V-Sabotage Ghost is V-Sabotage, of course, is a game of stealth, and it's World War II, and you're trying to sneak past the Nazis and get stuff done. And V-Sabotage Ghost is very cool because it, in addition to bringing some new missions and what have you, it also, first it would bring a way to like gain experience points, and you can gain experience points over the course of the game and kind of soup up your guys. And there's a way you can do like a longer campaign, which I haven't played with yet. But there's also some other fun things. There's lucky tokens and danger tokens that can just kind of, randomly help you out or hurt you, and they do it in fun and interesting ways that make sense. But I really enjoyed V-Sabotage Ghost. It's a great system of stealth, and I've actually only just played the expansion solo, but I played it solo a few times, and I really enjoy it. Very fun game. That is V-Sabotage Ghost from Treta Noir, and that is my number 9. My number 8 is a expansion to a game that I'm very fond of. This is Star Trek Ascendancy Breen Confederation. The Breen, of course, in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, were allied to the Dominion, and here in this game, though, they've got a deal where they're xenophobic and they don't like to go out. So, like, if you're like within their territory, within their borders, they get automatic defensive bonuses. But again, some really cool cards that are helpful and some technologies that they get to research that were fun. Just overall, had a blast with this expansion. That is Star Trek Ascendancy Breen Confederation. That is my number 8 from Gale Force 9. My number 7 is a game that is an expansion to a game that I just played. In fact, I kickstarted this. I got the game and the expansion at the same time. I played the base game with a bunch of friends. I played it with the expansion solo, and I really I really enjoy the game generally, and I really got a kick out of it with the expansion, just because the expansion does what good expansion should do, and that is just give you a ton of more characters, more cards, and what new mechanics it brings, what mechanisms it brings, doesn't get in the way of the base game. And this is G.I. Joe Mission Critical Heavy Firepower. This brings Destro to the fight, which is really cool. So you get Destro in there, and you get more Joes. You got Gung Ho and Bomb Strike, and it's just a lot of fun. This is a great game. It's almost a pandemic-like game, and this again just brings more content, just some great more content. I've had a lot of fun playing this game and a lot of fun playing with this expansion. I love G.I. Joe, as I've said multiple times. I grew up with G.I. Joe. I love G.I. Joe. And so G.I. Joe Mission Critical Heavy Firepower, that is my number 7. That is from Renegade Game Studios. My number 6 is another game that is another expansion to a game I've already mentioned. And this is Star Trek Ascendancy Dominion War. Now what I like about Dominion War is you can play the Dominion as its own faction, or you can actually play an entirely new scenario, which is the Dominion War, in which you have teams. It becomes a team game all of a sudden. And you have alliances, and you work together. So it's an entirely new way of playing Star Trek diplomacy. But what's cool too is it's not you set up and you go out. You already set up a lot of the board, and so you start with kind of infrastructure in place. So a lot of times in Star Trek Ascendancy, you're playing it, and it's like you almost get to the spot where you can really get your engine humming and the game's over. And here, the game starts and your engine's humming, right? And so I really like that. I really got a kick out of that. But it's great playing with teams, playing with somebody else, and really enjoyed it. This is Star Trek Ascendancy Dominion War. That is my number 6, and that is from Gale Force 9. My number 5 is another game that I played just recently, and this is Dune Imperium Immortality. Essentially, this one brings in the Bene Tlaxu. I just reviewed this recently, but it brings in the Bene Tlaxu. You get this board where you can kind of advance with research to gain more rewards and what have you, and you got this kind of beetle board where you can advance to get victory points and other resources. But you got the Bene Tlax cards, which come into play, which kind of are again just brings more spice and sugar to the game. But what's cool is some of the cards you can actually graft onto other cards. So you can use a card with another card. You get all the abilities for both the cards, all the rewards, and you can place an agent anywhere listed on any of the cards. So I really like that. But it's just another fun, great expansion to Dune Imperium. It brings some fun new mechanics that don't get in the way of the base game. So that is Dune Imperium Immortality. That is my number 5, and that is from Direwolf. My number 4 is another game I reviewed not too long ago, and this is the G.I. Joe deck building game Cold Snap expansion. Now the Cold Snap expansion is cool. It's got the Weather Dominator story, and it's also got the Dreadnought story. But it's got some cool things. What I really like about this is it brings in towable assets, meaning you can have one less Joe go on your mission, but bring a towable asset, which can something you can tow physically with a truck or whatever, and it just gives you some extra abilities when fighting the going on the mission. So you lose a Joe. It's a trade-off, and there's a decision you got to make there. But generally, you're going to get some really kind of fun and interesting advantage that you can use when going into those missions. I really like that. But I also like the Dreadnoughts were really cool. And they're mean, and they take up spaces in the row, and you're trying to get them out. And the Snow Serpents that make the stories harder. It was a really fun game. That is the G.I. Joe deck building game Cold Snap, and that is from Renegade Game Studios. My number 3 is the G.I. Joe deck building game Shadow of the Serpent. And Shadow of the Serpent brings to your game, again, you've got the Rise Serpentor Rise storyline, and then you've got the Night of the Ashikagi with the ninjas, which is really cool. But what is really fun that this expansion brings to it is the G.I. Joe Command Center, essentially the headquarters. And what you've got on here is they're tiles that when you're spending cards to buy new cards, instead of buying new cards, you can upgrade the tiles to give you special abilities. But what's cool is Cobra can attack them, they can cover up the abilities, you got to go in and get them out there. And it brings a really cool and fun new dimension to the deck building game, as well as new cards, new villains, and new Joes. It's just across the board another very fun game. I give an edge of this over Cold Snap because I really like that command center. I like the 12 assets from Cold Snap, but I really like the command center. But that is a G.I. Joe deck building game, Shadow of the Serpent. That is my number 3, and that is from Renegade Game Studios. All right, coming down to the wire here. My number 2 is another game I've already discussed. This is Dune Imperium Rise of Ix. Now, Dune Imperium is a great game on its own, but Rise of Ix really brings some fun and interesting things here. For instance, you've got technology. You've got these technology tiles that you can buy that can be very important and very cool. So you've got a whole new tile you lay out there. You've got a big tile overlay, but you go to the Rise of Ix spot and you can get those technologies. You can also get dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts give you an advantage in battle. They're big, they're heavy, they're lumbering. If you win with them, you can use them to control locations. And then, too, you've got the Spacing Guild stuff, where you pay it and essentially you can kind of move up on this track, and then when you come down, you can get all these rewards. It's really cool. I really, really enjoy the Rise of Ix expansion. Again, good cards. It's just a lot of fun. I give an edge of this. I give the edge to this over Immortality because I really like the guild stuff and the tech stuff that comes out of it. So, fantastic game. This is my number 2, Dune Imperium, Rise of Ix from Direwolf. Now, my number 1 expansion of 2022. This game is, the base game is a game I just came out last summer, and I was sent the review, the expansion with the base game for the review, and I hadn't played the expansion in a while, and I finally got around to playing it, and I thought, I want to make a video of it, and so I did a review of it, but it just blew me away. The base game is so much fun, and dare I say it, the expansion maybe even improves it if you use the stuff from there. This is Sniper Elite Eagle's Nest. Now, Sniper Elite Eagle's Nest really doesn't add a lot to the game mechanically. Little things here and there, but not a lot. Basically, you got new snipers. You can choose from different snipers, and they have their own kind of advantages and disadvantages. You've got some new loadout cards, so you can do climbing, or you can have a knife to kill someone in your location, or you can briefly go underwater. But you got these new maps. And the new maps are cool. You've got Hitler's Nest. You've got the Eagle's Nest, Hitler's Berchtesgaden house. And that's a really cool place to play. But the Heavy Water map is so cool because it's so big. And it's outside. And instead of ducking into rooms, you're ducking into buildings. And it's epic. It makes the game more epic. I really hope they do more expansions. And they have more maps. And they have more maps like this. I really, really love Sniper Elite. It is just such a fun game, and this is such a fun expansion. Well done, Rebellion Unplugged. Really liked it. This is another Dave Thompson design. Of course, Dave Thompson gave us Undaunted Normandy and many other wonderful, wonderful games, and he was one of the chief guys on this too, and he just knocked it out of the park. In fact, I just finished a few weeks ago playing Sniper Elite 5. I'd never played any of the others, and the reason I was interested in playing this was because I played the board game, and I loved the video game. I thought it was fantastic, and my hat's off again to the designers because I really felt like they got the video game in the board game. As much as you can, they distilled the essential parts, and they made a fantastic board game. Well, so that is my number 1. That is Sniper Elite Eagle's Nest, and that is from Rebellion Unplugged. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. Again, please subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to get this channel to grow. Please tell your friends, anybody that's interested in gaming, please, I would really appreciate that. And please leave a comment. I love to hear what you have to say about these games. Have you played them? Do you like them? Do you not like them? I really enjoy interacting with you through the comments section in this forum here. But ladies and gentlemen, please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history. I post some of my lectures on there as well. And I'd really like to see that channel grow. I may post this video up on Board Game Geek, in which case please give a thumb and a comment there. We'd really appreciate that. I'm kind of in the doghouse. I accidentally gave my girlfriend a glue stick when she asked for chapstick. She's still not talking to me.
Please somebody help me. feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in.
You're making a lot of assumptions. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, don't listen to him.
Cost one blue.
So, does that...
Yeah, that's me.
Oh my gosh.